These passengers are enjoying an Auckland Regatta Day public cruise on the restored vintage steam tug William C Daldy. However, in order for this to happen, many hours of behind-the-scenes work will have been put in by the volunteers that crew the tug for the day's cruise. Their day starts very early in the morning, with the stokers and engineers being the first to come on board. Modern ships don't have steam power plants or stokers. However, 80 years ago, many ships were powered by steam with hand coal-fired boilers, just like the Daldys. Stokers were responsible for lighting the boilers and keeping them fed with coal. They also had to remove the large amount of ash that was generated by burning the coal.
Last one, Terry. Last one.
The engineer's day begins early as well. There is a lot of work in preparing a steam power plant for operation. As on the passenger liners of old, crew on the William C Daldy work in one of three divisions: engineering, deck or catering. Deck crew are responsible for the safe navigation of the ship. Catering crew are responsible for the comfort of the passengers. Meanwhile, the work of preparing the ship for departure continues.
Yeah, we'll go now. That's it.
The ship is now ready to leave Devonport to go over to Auckland to pick up its passengers. There is now a shop and museum in the stern where formerly the crew quarters were. The museum has a collection of photos and articles pertaining to the history of the tug. The tug was built on order for the Auckland Harbour Board in the 1930s by Lobnitz and Co of Renfrew, Scotland. Construction was completed in 1935, and after an 82-day delivery voyage to New Zealand, she entered service in February 1936. She served the Harbour Board well for 41 years, and by the time she was retired in 1977 was one of the last working coal-fired steam tugs in the world. Fortunately, on retirement, the tug did not find her way to a shipbreaking yard, but passed into the hands of the Preservation Society for the princely sum of $1. In addition, they converted her for passenger use so she could earn her way to continue operating on the Auckland Harbour for many years to come. Every winter, the ship goes into dry dock for an overhaul. Maintaining a steamship of this age and size involves a lot of work. The members of the society volunteer their labour to both operate and maintain the ship. The costs of parts and materials needed for maintenance are met in part by what is earned from charters and cruises, and in part by grants from sponsors and community boards such as Lotto and ASB.
People wanting to walk over it these days. There were some walking over it on Saturday. Yeah, not many.
Our regatta day cruise is drawing to a close. The William C Daldy is one of only a tiny handful of surviving and operating steam tugs in the world, and she is the only surviving Lobnitz and Co steam tug. Ships of this type are no longer viable to operate on a fully commercial basis. Her continued existence is dependent on four things: the dedicated work of the volunteers and the society that run her, the continued sponsorship of various companies and businesses, the continued support of various community funding organisations, and of course the people and companies that hire her for charters and the general public who go on her public cruises such as the one we've just seen. Long may she continue to sail.